Jay here for Stretford, Paddock, and we've had a bit of breaking news. Yes, we are live. Get involved in the chat in the comments. Going to be talking about Bryan Mbeumo. We've had a tweet from David Ornstein of The Athletic. Exclusive. Manchester United reach agreement with Brentford to sign Bryan Mbeumo. Deal between clubs struck at £65 million. Guaranteed, plus up to 6 million in add-ons. That'll bring it to 71 million if my maths is right. Quick maths. 4 instalments, 26-year-old forward, only wanted United, and move from Brentford is now being finalised. Get involved in the chat in the comments. Let me know what you think. I will get into Ornstein's article, into the nuts and bolts of it, and we'll go through the sort of the timeline of all this. But it feels like it's finally happened. I don't have to stand outside Old Trafford anymore saying, deal close. Deal imminent. Talks continue. Bryan Mbeumo wants to come to Manchester United. Spurs have been linked with him. Spurs have put a bid in, according to some reports. According to some other reports, they haven't put a bid in. Manchester United are willing to pay more. Manchester United are willing to pay more. Manchester United have put a second bid in. Manchester United are preparing a third bid. It's happening. It's done, almost. It looks like Bryan Mbeumo is set to become a Manchester United player, thankfully. Let me know what you think about the deal. We knew Manchester United wanted Bryan Mbeumo. Everyone knew that. We knew we were trying to get him, and we knew the price kept creeping up. I think the initial price from Manchester United was around 16 million quid less than this. The initial bid, I should say. So, let me know what you think about it. Do you think we've overpaid? Do you care? Are you just glad it's done? Have you had like a bit of Bryan Mbeumo fatigue and you're like, look, just get the deal done. I don't care, Jay. I just wanted it done. Or are you like, oh, I don't know, Jay. I feel like we've had our pants pulled down on this one. That's 71 million quid with add-ons. And you can bet that the papers, the press, the tabloids in particular, will be calling it a £71 million deal. They'll probably add on his wages and the petrol the car used to get him to Old Trafford. They add it on everything when it comes to Manchester United. But let me know what you think. Do you think it's a good deal? Do you think it isn't? Let me know. Stevie Out says, who's next, Watkins? I love that. Never mind Mbeumo, who's next? More, give me more transfers. Not even got Mbeumo deal, and Steve already wants Watkins. We'll get to that in a bit, actually, because that could be happening. There could be something happening with Ollie Watkins. We spoke to Carl Anker about that. There's a video of him going up later. How much is that in euros, says Kevin? Yeah, that'll be another one where it's reported in euros. It'll be like, whatever it is, I don't know. I'm not very good at converting euros to pounds or vice versa. Is it about 80 million euros or something like that? Peter Neat says, will Jay miss the days of constantly talking about Mbeumo or Brymo? I'm sure he's been dreaming about him. I hope I'm going to constantly talk about him scoring loads of goals for Manchester United. That's what I'm looking forward to. Talking about how well Bryan Mbeumo is doing for Manchester United. I won't miss talking about the potential transfer. I was getting a bit of Bryan Mbeumo fatigue, constantly having to talk about a transfer deal that didn't at one point seem to be going anywhere. I think it was a couple of days ago. I said, this has been a bit of a roller coaster week, this, hasn't it? On Monday, it was like, this deal looks like it's going to get done during this week. We didn't speak to, Fabrizio Romano had posted something, Sky Sports were reporting it as well, and it was like, look, this deal's going to happen, it's going to happen this week. Then all of a sudden, I think it was Laurie posted something saying that basically Brentford and Manchester United were several £1 million apart. So it felt like the deal was sort of more off than on. You're thinking, hang on a minute, we feel like we're further away from this happening than we were a week ago, which was rather worrying. Yesterday, we had an update that Manchester United had put in, I think, a third bid for 65 million plus 5 million. Now the deal itself has been done or has been agreed. It's 65 million plus 6 million. So I don't know if that is the deal from yesterday and there's just a little bit of a change in the way it's being worded, or people have added it up a bit differently, or whether it doesn't feel like there's a fresh deal there. I don't know. We'll get into it anyway. Abhinav Verma saying, I was preparing to even sign Bryan from Family Guy, but thankfully we got this Bryan. LJ says, Cunha and Mbeumo is going to make us much more dynamic. It is 11:45 p.m. in New Zealand. I'll have a quick goon before bed now. Cheers. Abe V15, welcome to the first team. He's a member. Man Like Cat says, hey, I just joined. Is Mbeumo confirmed already? If not, you reckon it's happening soon? Well, Man Like Cats, I'll get into the nuts and bolts of what David Ornstein has just posted, because obviously he's very reliable. He's just posted on Twitter an article, and I'm going to read the article now. So it says, Manchester United have reached an agreement with Brentford to sign forward Bryan Mbeumo after weeks of negotiations that felt like years, didn't it, after the amount of reporting we did on it. A deal worth up to £71 million. Oh, I was well off. with my euro conversion, by the way, because he's done it. Oh no, actually, it's not euros. He's done it in dollars, but The Athletic is the New York Times as well, so that's why they always do it in dollars. $95.5 million. A lot of papers are going to be converting that, aren't they, because it's such a high figure. Has finally been struck. It compromises an initial 65 million quid to be paid in 4 instalments, plus a maximum of 6 million in bonuses. Now, I don't know the nature of those bonuses. It could be like once he reaches 50 goals or 50 appearances or wins a trophy, whatever. There's all sorts of different sort of bonuses and stipulations you can have when it comes to add-ons. We never know. Do you remember, was it the... Well, not you never know, you might find out. But remember the Anthony Martial one? I think his went up to 50 million, but part of that was if he won the Ballon d'Or. Now, I know people may laugh at that, but he was a Golden Boy winner, so it wasn't that ridiculous to suggest that 18-year-old who's going to Manchester United from Monaco for about 30-odd million quid might one day be good enough to win a Ballon d'Or. That's how highly regarded he was. Mbeumo, 26, prioritised United over all other clubs. If he was to leave the G-Tech Community Stadium, and the Cameroon international's transfer is now in the process of being finalised. The Athletic reported on July 17th that United stepped up their efforts to bring Mbeumo to the club with an offer of 65 million plus 5 million in add-ons. Brentford have been looking to obtain a fee that exceeds the 62.5 million United paid Wolves to sign Matheus Cunha earlier this window. United's initial proposal of 45 million plus 10 million in add-ons was rejected, so Brentford have done themselves a favour by sort of sticking to the guns there, haven't they? While a second offer of 55 million plus 7.5 million in bonuses was also turned down. The Athletic reported last month that Mbeumo had informed Brentford and Spurs, who held an interest in a winger, of his decision to sign for United if he makes a transfer this summer. Arsenal and Newcastle also previously held an interest in Mbeumo, though he wanted to join United, as first reported by The Athletic on June the 2nd. So this is how long it's been going on for. The Cameroonian is set to become United's third signing of the summer after completing deals for Cunha and teenage fullback Diego Leon, who joined from Paraguayan side Cerro Porteño. Mbeumo featured in all 38 Premier League games in the 24-25 season, scoring 20 goals. Good to see a player feature in all the Premier League games and providing 8 assists as Brentford finished 10th. He came through the academy at French club Troyes and joined Brentford in 2019, helping the club achieve promotion to the top flight in 2021. He's made 242 appearances for Brentford, recording 70 goals and 51 assists in all competitions. There's then a bit more about a bit of analysis on him. A proven Premier League talent is the sort of the update there, or the title of the analysis when it comes to Bryan Mbeumo. He is proven in the Premier League. I don't think anyone can deny that. 20 Premier League goals last season. I think he's 3 good seasons he's had in the Premier League now. There's no denying his ability. Let's get into some of the chat. I'm going to get some super chats and I'm going to get into the comments as well, because you don't just read super chats. It says Benjamin Topping, says probably a bit more than I would have spent, but thankful we got him done before the US tour at least. Great point. Kobe Howell says, what a signing, Jay. How's the Crocs? Laughing emoji. I got Crocs for Father's Day, right? I got them as a gift and I wear them around the house, but the worrying thing there is he's saying, how's the Crocs? Laughing emoji. For the first time ever, I actually walked the dog in. No, I didn't walk. I went out of my house to put the bins out this morning wearing them, so I'm wondering if you've been sat outside my house watching me. Floors says, sounds to me like the change to 70 million was probably a request from United to make it look like we didn't pay full asking price. They've been a member of the academy for 16 months. Chris Quigley, welcome to the member section. Daku77 says, Jay, the bearer of good news. Evan Ami Art 91 says, time to open the champagne finally. Love the show. I'll have a Pepsi Max cherry to celebrate. Hasham Ali says, okay, who's next? Now, good question. We get transfers. We want more transfers. That's what happens, innit? As soon as we get one, we want the next one. But let's just get Mbeumo done first, because at the minute it's just deal agreed. However, when Ornstein says it's deal agreed, you don't foresee too many issues. Mbeumo wants to come to Manchester United. That has been well established. United obviously want him. There was never any sort of questions or doubts regarding the player terms. I don't think he's going to be on extortionate money. There was reports that he'll be on around 150k a week. A lot of money, yes. Triple what he's on at Brentford, but about right if you're going to pay 70 million quid for a player who's got 20 Premier League goals last season, and he's also 26 years old as well. Lauren Rose, welcome to the academy. Akash K says, I'm happy with Mbeumo, but I think that's the last of it for us this summer. Not confident on the sales side. Hopefully another Bryan to the legends list. Yes, why not? Brian Robson being one of the greatest players in the history of association football. Abhinav Verma says, it's a super chat. You've got to read it out. Don't we read it out? We read it out. It's stupid for. I'm obsessed with that clip. Someone tagged me in a chat last night with that clip, one of the all-time great YouTube clips. I think it's Claude from Arsenal Fan TV, and was it Ty as well? Right, who's next, says the Q77. Bob A says Brian McClare. Tobias Nilsson says, let's get a striker now. Simon Reddles says, boom, boom, boom. Let's look at some Bryan Mbeumo stats, shall we? Because I think we all know who Bryan Mbeumo is. I think we know a lot about him. But let's just get into the nitty-gritty of how many goals he scored and all the rest of it. I've just been looking, mate, at the Premier League because whilst we can look at what he did in the Championship and the Carabao and the Championship playoffs and League One and all that, it's the Premier League that we're interested in. So he's played 136 games in the Premier League. He's scored 42 goals and he's got 30 assists. So a very good record in the Premier League there. It's almost spot on a goal involvement every other game, which when you look at Matheus Cunha as well, I think Cunha's is something like 80 games, about sort of 20 goals, 20 assists, something like that. Is a very similar numbers. So both of those players have got a goal involvement every other game. Now, if you were to do some sort of basic maths and try and make it work the way you wanted it to, yeah, there you go. Sorry, not there you go. I can read it. Matheus Cunha, 82 Premier League games, 29 goals. Thanks for the cursor, I can see. Thank you. Honestly. Got a producer, Harry, here, pointing with the cursor at the actual numbers for me. Bless you. I'm not quite as old as I might act sometimes. Yeah, it's all right. You don't need to keep talking. Thank you. Premier League, 82 games, 29 goals and 12 assists, I think it is, for Matheus Cunha. Bryan Mbeumo, 136 games in the Premier League, 42 goals and 30 assists. So between them, they've got a goal every game. Obviously, it doesn't quite work like that. I wish it did, because if we had a goal a game from them or between the two of them at Manchester United, that would be amazing. Who knows what's going to happen? But one thing's for certain, that is a massive improvement on what we've got currently at Manchester United in terms of the goal output. Last season, we struggled. We really struggled with goals, with assists, with just creating, really poor. Obviously, we conceded a lot of goals as well, but if you look at the amount of goals we conceded, it wasn't horrific. It wasn't sort of, this is why we're in 15th place, because of all the goals we conceded. It was sort of mid-table-ish. I know it was mid-table, but there was clubs like Villa, I think, who conceded, was it 3 fewer goals than we did, and finished obviously about 8 or 9 places above us. It was just the lack of goals that did for us. So the lack of goals has been an issue, and someone like Bryan Mbeumo should hopefully go some way to rectifying that, because if you look at Manchester United last season, we scored 44 goals. I mean, that is absolutely woeful. Spurs scored 20 more goals than us and finished below us. Wolves scored 10 more goals than us and finished below us. I mean, there's no excusing that whatsoever. West Ham, who didn't exactly score a lot of goals, they scored 2 more goals than us. Everton scored 2 goals less than us, but that says a lot, because Everton were poor last season, even though they finished above us. So it looks like Manchester United, with the likes of Bryan Mbeumo and obviously Matheus Cunha, have gone some way to addressing the massive issues when it comes to scoring goals. Ali Taboga says, who will be the first to report the fee in Zim dollars? What are Zim dollars? Does anyone know? Is that a thing? Oh, Zimbabwean dollars. Thank you, Harry. Produce Harry. Yeah, Zimbabwean dollars, perhaps. Zeb, I can do this. Zebrazan says, Jay, how do you feel that you no longer will have to talk about Mbeumo in the news every day? Do you know what? I won't miss that, because it was getting so repetitive. And the issue we have, right, on the Stretford Paddock, on the paper talk, we talk about the news that's being reported every single day other than Saturday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we're talking about it either live or outside Old Trafford. And then on Sunday, I do my sort of paper roundup from my house on my kitchen. And every day, it was the same. It was Bryan Mbeumo, what is the latest? And people go, well, why are you talking about it? I was like, okay, if I ignore it, then I'm not talking about what everyone's reporting. So it's like, I've got to give you an update, even if the update wasn't telling us much. Well, thankfully, all that can be done now, because we've got Bryan Mbeumo. Yes, he's already messaged me, actually, McCullough. Someone said, McCullough said, relax. Says Naif Afeli. Yes, he was quick to message us in the group chat saying, yeah, I told you so. No need to worry. Just relax. Let me know what you think about this deal. We know the deal is happening. We know what Bryan Mbeumo can do in terms of goals and assists. Are you happy with this deal? Do you think it makes sense? One of the concerns, right, that people had before we got this deal over the line was that Manchester United had become this sort of easygoing club, or this club that was a pushover where teams could just demand what they wanted and would always pay it. Leicester demanded 80 million from us for Harry Maguire. We spent 2 weeks negotiating, then we ended up giving him 80 million plus 5 million add-ons. Palace wanted 50 million for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. We negotiated for 2 weeks, and then we ended up giving him 50 million for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. We have this reputation. Ajax was the biggest one, wasn't it, with Anthony. We valued Anthony around 25 million, 30 million quid. Ajax played hardball with us. We lost the 2 opening games. We were desperate to get him. We ended up paying around £80 million for Anthony, one of the most expensive transfers in our history, and pound for pound, one of the worst. I'm sorry to say, but he just is. I know he's done well at Betis, but what he did for United and what he cost, it just wasn't great. Then you look at even someone like Jadon Sancho. Sancho, you thought, actually, top player for Dortmund, scores goals, gets assists, one of the most sort of highly sought after youngsters on the planet. But even that looks a little bit excessive, especially with the wages. The wages for Jadon Sancho are the reason why that deal didn't make much sense, because we're still suffering the repercussions of those wages because we can't move him on. Kev F says, look at Jay's little face. UFC MMA says United versus the Scousers for the 21 is coming playoff. I mean, I like that. I like the fact you go in full in, we're going to be challenging for the title this season. What does this do for Manchester United? Let me know how you think Manchester United will perform next season with Bryan Mbeumo now in the team. Because he's going to be in the team. I don't want to say squad. He's not going to be on the bench, is he? Now you've got Cunha, you've got Mbeumo. How confident are you going into this season? Because let's not forget, we're coming from a place where we've just finished 15th. So I don't think we can go, well, that's it now, we're going to win the title. Well, some people may say that. However, we have massively improved our attack with those 2 big signings. Lauren Rose says, relieved it's over, fearing De Jong 2.0, excited to see what he can do for us. Yeah, De Jong, mate. Jesus Christ. That went on for ages, didn't it? That one looked like it was going to happen as well, because Barcelona accepted, what was it, 84 million quid or something it was? Manchester United were going to pay for him or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but it was a lot of money. But he didn't want to leave Barcelona because they still owed him about 17 million quid in wages. So he just said, I'm not going anywhere, and we couldn't get him. We couldn't force him to leave. Probably a good idea that he didn't. Some may argue he could have helped Erik ten Hag and it would have been a good signing. He would have fit the Erik ten Hag system and all the rest of it, but it would have been an expensive signing. And I don't know, I'm not too gutted we didn't get De Jong, to be honest with you. I mean, let me know what you think. Hijack Osimhen next says Ocean Man. 30 Shorty 30 says 1.78 billion Mexican pesos for Bryan in the papers. Yassine about De Jong says he would have been perfect for any manager and he was 75 million. Dan United 94 says J-Ked's comment on the rumours that this Bryan Mbeumo character is just you wearing a fake beard. See, I thought that. I thought I look a lot like him, but then others said you don't look anything like him. We're just brown and bald. I used to have a beard, actually. If you remember the early days of Stretford Paddock, and when I say the early days, I think the first week before I shaved it off because it was a lockdown beard. But I didn't look like Bryan Mbeumo. I was carrying a little bit of timber at the time. What happens to the best of us? JJ Larkin says, here we go. That's a good point now. What has Romano tweeted? We've had Ornstein, who's done his exclusive about United reaching an agreement with Brentford to sign Bryan Mbeumo. Yeah, there we go. Who tweeted first, actually? So, Romano was 20-1, and Ornstein was... Ornstein was first, 12.38. So we thought we had a little, we'd had a bit of a heads up in the office, and we were having a discussion. Harry, who did you say was going to go first?
I went with Ornstein.
See, Harry said Ornstein was going to be first. I went with Ornstein. Did we all go with Ornstein? It was unanimously Ornstein because we had someone messaged us saying, look, just to give you a heads up, this looks like it's going to be getting announced very soon, or the story's going to break soon. So we were like, okay, is it going to be Ornstein? Is it going to be Mbeumo? Is it going to be Romano? And it was Ornstein by 2 minutes. But Romano has tweeted, he posted at 12:40, breaking Mbeumo to Manchester United, here we go. Oh, I should have seen it actually. It was obviously via Ornstein because he's mentioned the Athletic. Green light from Brentford and club to club agreement reached for 70 million package, as the Athletic reports. Contracts agreed weeks ago with Mbeumo as he only wanted Man United move. After Cunha, Mbeumo next for Man United. He then done another tweet. He loves to tweet, doesn't he? Bryan Mbeumo's fee will be 65 million plus 6 million add-ons, paid in 4 different instalments. Brentford accepted payment structure proposed by Manchester United. So if it's 4 in different instalments. Does that help us a little bit? Well, it obviously helps us because we haven't got loads of money, have we? Now in this window, we've technically spent 130 million or whatever it is, 127 million. One of you lot can do the maths. I expected us to spend something like that. I thought we would spend around 110, 120 million without sales. So I do think now it is going to be sales before we buy anyone else. I'd be very surprised if we were able to get an Ollie Watkins, or we've even been linked with Nicholas Jackson or whoever, without making some sales. Let me know what you think. I mean, there are some free transfers that we've been linked with as well. Ogbonya, Prince Chidibere, welcome to the academy. Brian Kevill says, insane. Pants pulled, that's two Salahs. Two Salahs. Salah, I mean, it is technically two Salahs, but that was a mega bag in that, wasn't it? So, Brian, I presume you think we should have walked away. Let me know if you think we should have walked away. If you think we have had our pants pulled down, if you agree with Brian or if you disagree. I would rather, obviously, we paid less for it. But if you'd have given me a choice, if you'd have said, look, you either pay 71 million or 65 million plus 6 million add-ons, or you walk away, which would you go for? What would you do? I'd have paid it. If that was just a binary choice, walk away or pay it, I'd have paid it. Let me know what you think. Harry Jarvis says, do you think our window will kick on a bit now that we're done playing hard ball? I said something else then. Hard ball with Brentford. I think it's sales, isn't it? I think it's going to be sales. We've got to make some sales. We've got to move the likes of Alejandro Garnacho, Marcus Rashford and Anthony and Jadon Sancho out. If we're going to make any more signings, I don't see that happening without us moving one or two players on. Hopefully we can get some decent money for Garnacho. He's been linked with Spurs, Chelsea and Villa. There's reports he wants to stay in the Premier League. If you can get 60 million for him, which I think is what United are after, then hopefully you can reinvest that elsewhere. Casper MB says, regardless, Amorim is owed a transfer budget and enough time to work with players during pre-season. Nathan24 Ryder says, have we got Mbeumo? Can anyone tell me? Bulkzilla says, Rashford deal close, apparently. Shaq says, if United had the money to pay for him up front in full, then we could have got him for a cheaper price. That's a good point, that. That's probably some true. Spray Time says, Rios maybe next. Richard Rios, I think he's been linked with a move to... Oh, where is it? I've forgotten. He's been linked with a move some... Is it AC Milan? He has been linked somewhere, and I had this story yesterday and I've forgotten. Cantris Hart says, is the brew coming on today? Yep, 4 o'clock. We will have the brew. Roma, thank you, Akash K and Ryan Brewer and Dimitri Delianis. Roma, Scotty Mo says it as well. Yeah, Richard Rios looks like he's heading to Roma. We were kind of linked with him a little bit. He's been doing very well at Palmeiras. Obviously a very talented player, a midfielder. We need a midfielder, but doesn't look like it's happening. Gareth Cox says, I can't believe some of the negativity. Brentford originally wanted majority up front and we are cash poor right now. So yes, we had to pay a lot, but we got the structure we needed with, instalments. John Davis 91 makes a good point here. He says, if players like Ilanga are 55 million, then Mbeumo for 65 plus 5 is a good price. Shame it took so long. 2 players for almost the price of Liverpool's one. Now who's next? A goalkeeper or a striker? Adel Samaki says, I literally jumped out of my chair when I saw it. Right. Well, I don't blame you because I nearly did the same. Chris Thompson says, absolutely had to get this over the line. Chuffed. In today's market, I think it's fair value. More focus on getting the dead wood out striker needed. And Ross Murphy says, finally, with one of those party emojis, finally it is happening. Manchester United have reached an agreement with Brentford to sign Bryan Mbeumo for 65 million plus 6 million in add-ons. Ekum Singh Gulite says, Jay, what do you want next, striker or CM? I'll go striker. That's my thoughts. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you to everyone who's got involved in the chat and the comments. Me and Joe are going to be back shortly with a preview for the Leeds game. We've got a game against Leeds United tomorrow in Stockholm. Is going to be previewing that. Also later on today, we're going to have the brew. Plus, we're going to have an interview. It's not even an interview, it's just a podcast with Carl Anker, a bumper one. It's 90 minutes, literally. So make sure you are hitting like, share and subscribe. I've been Jay Motti. This has been a bit of breaking news. No longer will I have to talk about whether United are going to buy Bryan Mbeumo because we are. Mbeumo, I've even got his name wrong. Because we are. Thanks for watching.